Hey guys, how's it going? May here again. And today I've got a little different deck profile for you. Obviously, the last few videos I've made have been for Malice, but basically one of the locals I was going to had a Rogue Knight last week, and we had like banned all the meta decks and kind of like most of the tier 2 stuff as well. So I thought, oh, well, you know what? This would be a great time to like break out my Voiceless Voice deck again. I had actually gotten really into playing this back during the Azamina Snake Eyes format before I started playing Azamina Snake Eyes, and had had a lot of success playing it online. And I didn't really get a chance to play it in person too much because I ended up playing Snake Eyes instead. But having gotten the chance to test the other day and play it in real life, I kind of remembered this deck's really fun, and so I've just kind of been grinding DB with it all week. And like surprisingly, even outside of the Rogue environment, which I think I went like 3-1 in Rogue Knight with it, so that was fine. But like even against like the meta stuff like Ryziel, where you think like everything I've heard from everybody on the internet is like, oh, this deck's unplayable right now because it just loses to Detonate or Pop all of the continuous spells and traps. And in my experience, this is completely wrong. Playing it online, I honestly haven't even had like my continuous stuff popped all that much, just because of the way game states have progressed, and I don't usually get to a point where I'm even activating those or those are in play with the detonator live. So that being said, I thought I'd just go over it really quick because I'm having a lot of fun playing this, and I think low key this is a super underrated rogue deck at the moment. And it's just a lot of fun, especially if you enjoy ritual decks like I do. So obviously, it's pretty standard. Three low goes without saying. It's a normal summon that can't get Ash Blossomed or Purged, which is pretty cool. We're then playing the Diviner engine with the Trias. This is just a hand trap magnet, which is kind of unfortunate. So you either have to hope that you have extenders when you open this, or have something that can dodge negation like Trias or Saravis in hand. But still a card that's so good that you've got to play it. And a lot of the time you can just kind of bait stuff out with other cards before you commit to this. Then the other kind of pseudo engine card, which I think is like, I don't know what the standard voiceless deck looks like at this point. When I learned the deck, I was going off of like kind of the, if you've seen Prophecy Wiz's videos on YouTube, I was going off of his theory, which is that you don't play this card because it's just kind of a brick. And that's how I originally learned to play the deck and had a lot of success with it. But the way I've played it this last week, in person and online, I think this card's so good. It's far from a brick. A lot of the times it's like a really nice extender or a really important end board piece. And just having it in the deck diversifies and adds a different layer to a lot of your end boards. Plus, it gives you access to Saravis, which, spoiler alert, is kind of the win condition of this deck in this format, especially against a deck like Ryziel. And it's also great at like recycling your spells. Like a lot of the time, like before, if like my blessing got popped, there was no real way to get it back, which was annoying. This way you can just like infinitely recycle stuff as long as you have a ritual spell in graveyard, which a lot of the time you do. So especially in the grind game, which is really what this deck excels at more than just about any deck that's not named like Fiendsmith in the format. This card's super important, so I can't recommend it enough. And then for the ritual lineup, 2 Skull Guardian, standard, and then 1 Saravis. Like I said, Saravis is your win condition, and it's not just an amazing inboard piece that you can recycle multiple times on your opponent's turn with blessings, but it's also great at helping you dodge targeted negation. So like Imperms, Veilers, even like Detonator can help kind of exhaust your opponent's resources on their end boards. So this card's just great. I only played as a 1 of. I could see the case for playing it as a 2 of because it's so good. But I've been happy with these ratios. And then for kind of your extender / searcher lineup, 2 Saphira, 2 pre-prep, and the 2 prayers is just an engine requirement for them. Yeah, it goes without saying. You could probably play like 3 of this or 3 of the Saphira if you wanted to. I'm currently on 42 cards, and I feel like these ratios have been really good, and so I don't feel like I brick too often with the deck. I mean, it happens. You know, you're always gonna brick when it's a deck that kind of relies on 2 card combos. But I've been very happy with the amount of gas this deck has. And frankly, I've been able to break a lot of boards going second, even just kind of entirely an engine. So a lot of kind of the ways people tend to think about Voiceless is this deck that kind of puts up a big board going first, but kind of auto loses going second. I just disagree with that assessment entirely. I think it really just matters how you play into boards and just kind of how you design the deck. I'm not saying it's like tier 1 or anything, but I think it is a sneaky strong rogue strategy, especially because of its incredible continuous lineup. These cards are all amazing in the grind game. And again, like people say, like these cards are really tough going into like Ryzeal and also Malice for that matter with its like non-targeting banishes. While that is true, if you go about your turn in such a way, a lot of the times you can get this stuff on board and then enter into a grind game, which against almost any deck, you're going to outgrind them with this deck if you can get your basic engine set up. Yeah, these cards are amazing, and this whole setup is just a big reason why it's such a fun kind of mid-range deck to play, and also why it's kind of sneaky good right now. And speaking of reasons to play the deck, I also play the Dogmatika package, 3 Nadir Servant, 1 Maximus. It's kind of a lot like what I was talking about with Malice, where the Bestials serve both as engine and non-engine, which makes them super broken in that deck. It's the same thing with Nadir Servant. It's one of those cards that's both an incredible... It's basically like Engage when you think about it, because like you're adding Maximus to hand, and then you're either getting a draw, you're getting a pop with Entis, or you're getting a spin with Malong. You can even get Graveyard Disruption with something like Cyframe Gear Omega. I don't know, this card's crazy. It's like having played this card in Voiceless, like it's made me appreciate the Nadir engine so much, and I'm always looking for reasons to play it because it's so good. And it's also just, it's nice because it helps you bait out hand traps to help like your diviners and your barriers and your Sephiras resolve, or it can act as an extender. Only thing that's kind of unfortunate is it loses to Droll, but that's why you try to have hands where you play around Droll first and foremost, because it is such a powerful extender if it stays live. And then for the non-engine lineup, I guess this is kind of cheating because like Magnamud is also sort of engine because it can help you search either Saphira or Seravis, which is really good. So it really helps you push through boards, but also because decks like Blue Eyes are in the format. And of course, like Fiendsmith, it's just a really nice disruption to help weaken those end boards. And like, this deck doesn't really like playing into a DD Wave Hiking Caesar. I can never remember what those cards are called because they all have like such similar names. But this card's great. Although I did like play into like a Kaiser the other day, and I just broke it entirely with Engine just because of how I was chain linking stuff. So sometimes you're able to do funny things like that. That's immaterial though. Another like honorary engine card, honorary engine non-engine card is Nibiru, because not only is this one of the most broken non-engine cards in the entire game, but also being a level 11 or whatever the hell it is, it's also just something that you contribute with your like ritual summons. So I've had like hands where I just have Skull Guardian plus a ritual enabler and this in hand, and then I just ritual summon the Skull Guardian, search low, and then I have like full combo there. Obviously, like that doesn't always work, and if that's like your only play, sometimes it's better just kind of holding things and playing a hand trap sort of long game, but it's very situationally dependent in my opinion. Anyways, for more pure hand traps, I play 3 Fuwalos because it's really good. You can also, I guess, do funny things like you can normal summon it, go into Almirage, and then go into Secure Gardna, so that you have, if you draw like a Maximus in your hand and you have no other like normal summons, so you can kind of use it as a weird kind of play enabler sometimes. But it's Fuwalos, even though it's not very useful, especially going first. And especially, unfortunately, this deck doesn't really have a discard engine, which is really annoying. That's like kind of one sort of weakness of it, so you can't really load up on kind of bricky cards like this the way that a deck like Ryzeal can, because they can just pitch this stuff if it's dead in their hands. Same thing with Snake Eyes before, obviously. But anyway, I mean, it's a great card. And I just picked it up the other day, so I kind of had to play it. 3 Ash Blossom, because it's Ash. 3 Droll and Lockbird, because it's really good going second. And especially, like, this deck really likes... It excels at, like, breaking half boards and then entering a grind game. And this is an incredible enabler of that strategy. And low-key, like, this deck is, like, one of the best going first cards. And a lot of the time, if you drop this on your opponent, you just kind of auto-win. Especially if it's something like Ryzeal. And then, like, the last non-engine is just 3 Imperm, Hand Trap, Board Breaker. Can set it. Versatile card. What can I say? So yeah, 42 in the main deck. Like I said, I'm really happy with the ratios. It's not so many cards that it's like you don't see like the cards you really want to see, but it's just a few extra, so you're less likely to see like your like duplicates of like once per turns or too many of your like soft bricks. I know a lot of people say this deck runs a lot of bricks, and I actually kind of disagree with that. Because, you know, cards like Maximus are like a brick, technically. Cards like the Ritual Spell are a brick. Old Man Saravis is like a brick. You can argue all of the ritual things are technically bricks, but that's only in the, like, kind of theoretical landscape of having, like, one card combos. But a lot of the time, those cards can actually be very useful in hand. Like, if you open a ritual monster plus low plus the ritual spell, like, yeah, like 2 of those things would have been bricks in your hand, but now it's like the most busted 3-card combo in the deck. So it's very hand dependent, and I more see them as like pseudo bricks. Even something like drawing the trap going first, a lot of the times I've even just set the trap and tried to enter a hand trap with my opponent, and then use that to set up a grind game that I wouldn't have been able to if I just had like, you know, 5 hand traps or, you know, something. So anyway, yeah, I think the way that people discuss this as like a bricky deck is a little overstated, in my humble opinion. Anyway, extra deck. This is all Nadir Servant targets: 1 Garura, 2 Entis, 1 Herald, 1 Malong, 1 Gamma, 1 Ferigi. Just giving you draw power, turning Nadir Servant into engage, giving you 3 different layers of removal, just completely broken. So super nice to have. And then in terms of extra deck utility, Chaos Angel comes up a lot, where you go like Diviner, send Trias, tribute the Diviner, summon back low. And then a lot of the times you just go into Chaos Angel, get rid of a problematic card in your opponent's fields, and then perform a ritual summon and bring the low back. It's definitely something that's come up enough where I'm very convinced that Chaos Angel is worth the extra deck spot. Even though it's like, this theoretically is not a tight extra deck, sometimes, like, especially with the Nadir package, it's hard to, like, cut down, because there's a lot of, like, hypothetically useful cards that you kind of like to have. Typhon, because it's Typhon. It's a little awkward sometimes, like, if you have this on field and you have like a blessing set up for like a Skull Guardian, this turns off your Skull Guardian, which is like kind of awkward, but you know, you gotta kind of live and figure it out. Sometimes you can just go into Saravis with this on board, and then it's completely broken. And then like the Link package, Anima, because it's busted and everybody's forgetting about their Anima zones now because Snake Eyes is out of the format. Almirage and Gardna for both your Maximus and your Blessings extension plays. If you don't know, you just, any normal summon, go into Almirage with Maximus in hand, then you tribute this, or link this off for Gardna, and then the Maximus can banish this to summon itself out. And then the Blessings play would be like, you have like a low on board with Blessings set up, and you have no ritual enablers outside of Blessings. So you link the low off with Almirage, use Blessings to add low back to hand, link into Gardna, and then on its summon, you trigger Blessings to ritual summon with the low in hand. So kind of cool interactions. And then for the rest, 2 Dynamondo, 1 SP. This is my second SP because the other one's sleeved differently in my Malice deck, so forgive the non-Agov SP, but I see some people only playing like the 1 Dynamondo, which is fair. The second one hasn't come up for me at all the last week, but theoretically you play the second one because if you get like nibbed when you throw this on the field, you can just use the ritual spell in graveyard plus the token to reestablish 2 bodies on board to re-go into this, and then they just wasted a nib for no reason, which is kind of funny. So I like having that just as an insurance play, because sometimes you really want to get one of your continuous things on board for your opponent's turn, especially in the grind game. Having just that one extra interruption or one extra layer is like so crucial, in my opinion. Anyway, so then for the side deck, obviously this is going to be like event dependent, locals dependent. This is just my dueling book list. I play the 1 Pendulum Graph in the side. It hasn't come up a ton, but it is nice for like playing around things like talents, or I've actually summoned this against like the Odeon deck online a few times, because you can do things like, you know, negate their field spells, like one of their effects, or you know, sometimes you just like negate a tract with it or whatever. But it's more in there for like if you play like a branded player, or like people used to main this for Tenpai. So obviously it's not in the main for that, but it's kind of a nice utility card to have, and I didn't have another card that I just felt like I needed to include over it. And then just 2 Druid Swarm, just for your Magnamut for things like Blue Eyes and Fiendsmith. And then we've got a Charmy lineup of 3 Perulia, 3 Meows. I'm actually playing this instead of Lancia, which is probably stupid. Like, I think about it, like, Lancia you can use, like, going first also against something like Malice as, like, a blowout. But I don't know. I just kind of picked the rest of my Meows up, so I've been kind of just testing a full Charmy lineup, and this does have, like, other utility against some other decks, where it essentially turns into Pot of Greed, especially against, like, a Fiendsmith deck, for example, or against, like, Blue Eyes. But yeah, so I'm running this instead of the Lancia, so we might go back to that. But I also just haven't played much Malice online lately for some reason. It's been mostly Ryziel, which is crazy. Anyway, then I guess my Spice right now is 3 evenly matched in the side. Actually, there was this one gal who just got a top at the Team YCS with Ryziel Voiceless, and she was maining this, which honestly, pretty crazy move. I mad respect for that, because like, I mean, when you think about it, like, what end boards in the format like play around this? Like, there aren't many Omni negates in the format. Like, now I guess like maybe like Toad is on some Ryziel boards. Fiendsmith Ryziel obviously can end on Desiree, but if it's, you know, if they're, a lot of the time they blind Kaiser. But yeah, a lot of decks just like don't have an answer to this on their board unless they have something like a Judgment. This can even make an impact against the Odeon deck, but not necessarily, just because they can like negate this with their trap, so it could be really good against it, but remains to be seen. But this card's really cool. Even like sometimes you just use it as like 1 for 1 or 1 for 2 removal, which doesn't seem super high impact, but against a deck that really likes to have its stuff resolve, you know, even just removing like a single imperm, or banishing like a if you're going up like against the Fire King deck, just banishing like their quick play removal spell or something if they've set it. Little interactions like that can be really nice, because this deck doesn't need to kill you on turn 2 to win the game. It just needs to break your board and then out card advantage you for the rest of the game. So I've really been enjoying this so far. I could probably try something like Cosmic or Twin Twisters or Duster or something else that offer more going first utility as well. I did play Cosmic at the locals the other day, and it was really nice, so we'll have to see, but I've been enjoying this online. And then the MVP of my side deck online, just bar none, is Solemn Judgment. This card is insane. I actually had one game against Ryziel, I think it was, where they had two Solemn Strikes set. We were in like this weird, like kind of bricky game where we didn't really have much going first. So I forget if I went first or second originally, but they set strikes. I set judgments. Don't ask me why I had somebody had a solemn going second, but I guess that's how it ended up going. Anyway, they striked my board twice, and then I had two judgment sets, and I judgmented both of their solemns, which is pretty nutty. But aside from that, this card's just like an auto win button. And like when you pair this with Seravis, which is essentially two solemn judgments, at least just for summons, I mean, just it's just like GG's right there. Like so powerful, so good. So anyway, yeah, that was my Voiceless Voice deck. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it lately. And I would highly recommend it, even if you're just trying to play it at like a local level, or if you've got like your invite already and want to try it at the regional level. I think it's actually like sneakily very viable, especially if you know what you're doing with the deck and you have it like gamed for the meta. You could obviously like set this up a little differently, like I obviously wasn't running Metaltronus or Ultimate Slayer, which this deck can theoretically really abuse. I just I just didn't side it or main it. But I've been very happy with this non-engine build, but you could definitely try any of those two and get really good results, probably. I might try more of a board breaker approach with like main deck evenly like the one girl was doing, and like Metaltronus, Ultimate Slayer in main deck. I don't know if that's like how well that'll go, but we'll give it a try. So anyway, hope you guys appreciated that.